Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'm back. And before I go today, because I do intend to go very quickly, I need to share a brief message. This is something that came to me through the Spirit. This does not happen often. Most of the time, the things that I study, they are for me. But every so often something comes through in a download and I have to share it in a format like this as a part of my work here on this channel. And this is because, first and foremost, I am a Christian. If you guys haven't caught that before, because you're new, and so I was told to do this channel by the man upstairs, by God, by Jesus, however you want to call him. And so what he leads me to do, I do first. And anything else, it's kind of inconsequential. So I have some things to tell you guys. Going over some things, housekeeping things. I mentioned in one particular video that, and I'm just going to call this one Little Pieces, okay? Some of you guys that know me in real life know, and some of you guys that have seen previous videos know. I'm working on a project called Liberty Radio. I've got two confirmed artists now, and I've got two or three that I intend to review, basically making sure I can actually use their material. And what it is, it's going to be an independent radio station that will provide material for, provide funding for a bigger project that I'm working on called the Freedom Center. Right? I don't know how this is all going to work together. I don't know what all the Freedom Center is going to do. It's a growing project. The idea is growing all the time, but I do know that the Lord has led me to do it. It started as a break room. It started as a like something that people could go to in their daily life, and they could actually talk instead of being bound by these open door policies and this politically correct society where you were bound by what you could and could not say. And I keep running into brick walls. I keep running into, I thought, oh, as long as I'm purchasing the music, I can do with it what I want, right? No, you got rights you've got to seek after. You've got to purchase the rights to play that music, even though you've bought the music and you're a customer and you're promoting their product. You're actually sending them to a place where you can buy their product, and you don't make money on that, you know. It's a very complicated scenario. And I keep running into roadblocks, right? And I just felt in my heart that many of you guys have big ideas out there. And this is for the Christian church. This message is for the church as a whole, the ecclesia. You have individually, as people, big ideas, right? And I asked the Lord, okay, what are we supposed to do with these big ideas that we have in our heads that will not leave us alone? And the series of scriptures that came back to me, right? And scenarios that I'm going to tell you about. Part of it is bad situations that I don't know what to do with. Part of it is situations that other people have gone through. Some of it is victories that I've experienced. And part of it's just the processes that I'm going through. So, strap in, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a ride coming for us. So what do we do with these big ideas? Right here it is. And this is part of the book of Habakkuk, if you want to look it up. I don't know the exact chapter. I neglected to put the chapter on this particular passage of Scripture. But I do remember and recall that it is the book of Habakkuk, and so and I can tell you the basic story of what's going on here. This, in Habakkuk, this prophet, this person, is actually on the wall watching for what seems like deliverance and the Lord's salvation as a whole. And he's not seeing it, but he's seeing it sort of in the spirit to a degree, based on what I'm reading here in the particular chapter, because I read it last night. I tried to record this last night and it would not. I was how do I put this? I was disturbed in the middle of my recording. So hopefully this one comes out better. So this is the story that I read last night, based on what I know. And the man is standing on a wall and he's asking the Lord, what do I do with what I'm seeing here? Because I'm not seeing it in the real world. I'm not seeing it here and now. And the Lord gives this response. He says, and the Lord answered me and said, write the vision, make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie, though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come and will not tarry. Now, this bit right here that I've highlighted, this is a very, very difficult part of this passage. An appointed time. Let me explain what I mean by that. We as humans, we want everything right now. We want it delivered to us on a silver platter, right? And sometimes it doesn't arrive right away. Sometimes when it does arrive, it's not quite what we're expecting either. And this is part of our job as Christians, as people of the book. We are to wait on that, and we are to pay attention. Isaiah 40:31 says, but they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. Yeah. Now that term wait, sometimes when it uses the term wait on the Lord, it's not talking about waiting as in, oh, I'm going to wait, I'm going to sit here, I'm going to be patient, right? Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's talking about patience. But sometimes, when the Bible uses the term wait, it's not talking about, like, wait and be patient and sit. Sometimes it is referring to, like a servant would do, or a waiter would do. You know, wait as in waiting tables. And so you gotta be careful there. You waiting on the Lord sometimes means, hey, let me draw close to the Lord. Let me listen to what He has to say. And sometimes when you listen to what He has to say, what He has to say is a small, small little bit of what He has for you here, that is here in Habakkuk, the write the vision, make it plain. But it's not the fullness of it, but it's something you have to do to get it moving along. For example, okay, I'll get personal. I did not intend on starting a YouTube channel. It was not in the cards for me. I didn't want to do it. When people recommended that I do so, they said, hey, you should try this. I think you have the personality for it. I think you have the voice for it. And I think people will like to listen to you. Well, number one, I changed what... The people said, you have the voice for it, you have the personality for it, and you could do really well at it, right? I said, nah, nobody's gonna want to see me, nobody's gonna watch me, nobody's gonna want to listen to me, right? And I was shocked at the amount of traffic that I got just starting out. I was very pleased. I got like 5 or 6 subscribers in the first way of doing things, right? And I'm not going to say that I've been perfect. There have been times that I've decided to go on a break. There have been times that I've not enjoyed what I did, and there have been times that I've been busy with other things, right? But I've tried to be faithful in what I have. And as I've gone through different phases of this channel, the tech phase, which is still ongoing, by the way, I do intend on... How do I put this? I do intend on uploading more Linux stuff. I've got the Linux book here by my side today. I do intend on uploading more of that. The gaming, I intend on doing more of that. I just downloaded a new game today. I might actually be able to try it out for the first episode here in a little bit. But I do have other things going on today, so this is just going to be a real quick upload. And you guys seem to subscribe to different points of the channel, and I appreciate you for that. But I didn't think anybody would watch me at all, let alone end up with 71 of you who like what I do. By the way, if there's something specific you want to see or watch, or please let me know. I try to do encouraging stuff when I can. But I didn't want to do it to start with, and I prayed and I said, what should I do about this? People are recommending this and they won't, they won't stop, they won't cease. And I heard it really bad. I heard it really clearly. And it came back so... So, matter of fact, and the voice said, why not try it? The worst that could happen is nobody watches, and you've got a fun little diary. And if people like it well enough, you may end up earning a little bit of cash flow, and at the very least, it'll be a fun little hobby you can do. So, right now, this is what I have. Is it much? Am I making money off of it? No, I'm not. It's not very big. It's not a huge channel by any stretch of the imagination, but there's 71 of you that like me well enough to keep coming back. And I'm very appreciative of it. So thank you guys very much. That's shameless plug and self-appreciation. Please subscribe, like, share. I enjoy putting this out for you guys. So very much, and it really does help me out when you share and subscribe and like and comment. But back to it. Am I hoping this channel grows? Absolutely. I'm hoping this channel grows. But part of hoping the channel grows and hoping the things that I do succeed, it's quite simple. You gotta be faithful with what you have, and that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to be faithful and upload something at least once a day. The Bible says in Luke 16:10, he that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much. And he that is unjust in least is also unjust in much. Basically, okay, and part of this is going to be, is talking about mentalities, right? If you do well in the least that you can do, right, you can do well in the most that you can do. It's that simple. If you have problems cleaning a room in the house, right, you're going to have problems cleaning a whole house. If you have issues in running a department in a store, right, you're going to have trouble if you own a whole facility. If you have trouble owning a whole facility, you're going to have trouble owning a whole business. That's the way mentalities work, right? Now, there's some nuance to that, what I just said, because part of the problem with running somebody else's business is you're running it by their rules and not your own. I'm one of those people. I like to run things the way I like to run them. I don't like to run them the way other people have run them for in eons past or whatever. People say, oh, there is wisdom you can take from the way other people run things. I agree. And I will take wisdom where I can from the people that run these businesses. That's what podcasts are for. That's what books are for. That's what all these other things are for. But if you're trapped in somebody else's mentality, you're not able to properly test your own. So there's some crossover here, and there's some leeway. However, I do need to get back to the bare bones of this verse. if you're faithful in much, you're going to be faithful. If you're faithful in the least, you're going to be faithful in much. And many people don't understand the fullness of this verse because part of... How do I put this? People want to be promoted all the time. All the time. But you know what? They also complain about their supervisors. They also complain about their duties that they've got, and they're neglectful to get it done. And don't get me wrong, you can be critical of somebody's behavior, right? Behavior, and I make this distinction all the time, right? There's a difference between behavior and a person, right? There's a difference between what somebody does and who they are. Your actions define you, yes, but you are not your actions because you can always correct your action. Does that make sense? And so, yes, I've been in the past critical and had like code names for different people at work. And some of those people have left, and some of those people are still there. And I've had criticisms about their behaviors and their ways of doing things. But it's not them. I recognize that they themselves are good people. They're just not good at their job. You might ask, Bryce, are you hoping that they hear and they see and they kind of make sure that their behavior is corrected? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I also hope that they understand that when I criticize them, I'm not coming from a place of disdain or hatred. I'm coming from a place of love because I want them to succeed and do better. I want everyone to succeed to do better. That is my goal, is for everybody to succeed and do better and be the people God has called them to be. It's part of the reason I don't really like this whole political correctness thing, because it does not separate the behavior from the person. It says, love me, love my behavior. Love me, love what I do. No. Sometimes what you do is pretty shitty. And some people get mad because I cuss sometimes when I get a little bit overexcited or... And I try not to do that because I try to keep it family friendly. But sometimes you do have to put the point home, and sometimes it takes some kind of language. And like I said, there's a difference between swearing and cursing in the Bible and what we call swearing and cursing today. What we call curse words or cuss words today. But we'll get into that another time, I think. I would like to do more research on it before I actually go into doing that particular position and job. So, you guys, next we go to a harsh truth that a lot of people don't like to hear. And it's specifically this. Jesus told a parable. Okay, I'm going to sum up this verse in a few sentences. Jesus told a parable. The goodman of the house, that's the guy that owns the house, says, hey, I'm going to go off on a journey. I'm going to put stewards over my house, right? And these stewards were put over different things. This is kind of like the parable of the talents, but not quite. These people were put on over different parts of his house. Some were put over like something as simple as the grocery shopping. Some people were put over different rooms. Some people were put over different areas. So you had people that were put over different areas of the house, and you can actually go and look this up. That's why I put the chapter in there. I don't have a full-blown section of verses for you to mark this, because I just wanted to mark the verse itself. But one of the servants, the goodman, came back and said to the master, you didn't do any of this. I was here looking over this all the time, and I did all the work, and you're coming back to reap the rewards. This kind of isn't that fair, right? And this is what the goodman of the house, the master of the house, said to him, right? But he knew not, and he committed things worthy of stripes. Shall be beaten with few stripes. But he that knew not, and committed things worthy of stripes, shall be beaten with few stripes. For unto whomever much is given, of him much shall be required, and to whom men have committed much, of them they will ask the more. Now, I want to get into that and talk about that before I take my leave today, because this is the last verse for today. And we're going to sum it up. And I'm actually going to upload this today and try to make sure that you guys understand what I'm talking about when I say this. There's two aspects to that verse. The first aspect, and let's highlight them. You know what? Let's highlight them before I actually call it a day. We're going to for whom much is given, for whomsoever much is given, much shall be required. Right? We're going to highlight this in, let's do it in blue or purple. I'm not sure whether you call this blue or purple. It doesn't really say. But I'm going to call it blue because I'm less qualified, less, and I'm going to call this, highlight this in red. Because these are the two aspects we need to talk about. For unto whomsoever much is given, of whom shall much be required. Meaning, okay, when you're given a lot from God, when you're given a gift like this from the Lord, if you're given a fortune, if you're given businesses, if you're given things that are supposed to help people, right? And there may be some of you that want to help people, right? And I'm going to give you guys a challenge down below in the comments. Please, 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 please post a dream that you've had. Something that you want to actually accomplish, right? And post that down below. If you believe that God has given you a dream, then talk about it. I want to hear it. I want to hear it. If you have something that you feel led to do that the Lord has asked of you, right? Let me hear it. I want to talk about it. I like to talk about it. That's what part of the reason I shared what I shared today. But if you've been given that dream and you've started your way along that, and maybe you've reached a point where you're big, you're able to do this big thing that everybody likes, right? If you've been given that, you've been given much. Much is required with what you've been given. So use what you've been given wisely. Please use what you've been given wisely, because it can be taken away and it can be given to somebody else. I'm talking to all the millionaires and billionaires that have, and even trillionaires, right? I'm not going to criticize somebody for having money, but I do have a warning for you. You've been given much, and so much is required of you. Please use it wisely and do what the Lord has called you to do with it. And I think if you do that, you'll be rewarded with even more. Be it here and in the next life. The second part is a warning to the people as well, right? But also to the millionaires and billionaires and trillionaires even now, to whom men have committed much, of them they will ask the more. I'm going to talk to the people, right? Because this is human behavior. And I'm going to give a warning to the people who have and are just trying to do their job. Be very careful listening to... I'm going to talk to the rich people first, and then I'm going to end with a warning to the people who are criticizing these people, right? And that's why I don't criticize people with money. I don't criticize people with wealth. I criticize ideas. I criticize behaviors. I criticize what I see wrong, right? Because what I see wrong, that's what can be fixed, yeah? I can't fix money. I can't force people to redistribute their wealth. That's called communism, and that sucks. I'm sorry. I had to get in that jab at communism, right? But I'm going to talk to the millionaires and billionaires and trillionaires first, because I was talking to them first. So, to those who have much, and you're dealing with this now, be careful who you listen to. Be careful who you partner with. Not just the... Like, my biggest thing is, if you're a millionaire and a billionaire, if you're somebody with a business or a ministry, walk carefully and try to... How do I put this? Try to make sure that you back away from social media as much as possible. I think this is part of the reason why many folks who are above a certain point, they have people managing their social media for them. I don't necessarily like that. Because I think... How do I put this? I think that creates a disconnect between people and the establishment as a whole. That's part of the reason I don't like when politicians do it. I don't like when rich people do it. But I do feel like they need to regulate their social media to a degree, because you can't be scrolling Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and all these other social media options like Blue Sky and stuff like that. I think that creates a problem as well, because if you're constantly looking at criticisms, right, and stuff like that, you're not focusing on yourself, you're focusing on the people who are criticizing you, right? And if you're focused on the people in the stands instead of running your race, guess what? You're not going to win the race. You're not going to finish the race. You're not going to finish the you're not going to finish the job that you have to do, that the Lord's given you. I apologize for the pause, but I'm trying to find, I'm trying to figure things out. For example, right? Okay. Stephen King. Stephen King is so focused right now. This is a real world example on politics and actually criticizing everybody and their mother, right? And he's criticizing political officials that he does not know, he does not have any interaction with. He's criticizing Elon Musk, the very owner of X, the platform that he's criticizing him on. By the way, if he was that much of a, if Elon Musk was that much of a tyrant, he wouldn't be allowed on there. I just had to get that jab in. And I've seen so many people criticizing Elon Musk for being the world's first trillionaire, right? And that's the other thing. I didn't want to mention him by name as being the world's first trillionaire, but you know what? I'm gonna. How many people have called folks a simp for saying get off of his back for making the money that he does? He's made that money through contracts, through all kinds of different things, and he's saving the taxpayers' money in the long run. And people are saying, oh, well, he doesn't need to have the money he does. He needs to donate it all to charity. Okay, how much have you donated? That's where I stand on that. I'm not protecting millionaires and billionaires on the basis of billionaires and trillionaires and that kind of thing, because there are millionaires and billionaires I cannot stand. There's a reason that I'm not going back to Windows and that I'm still using Linux, even though it's giving me a headache, right? That's because I cannot stand Bill Gates and his totalitarian regime. That is my personal opinion. That is where I stand, and that is the hill I will die on. And that is why I'm going to learn as much about Linux as I can, and that's why I'm going to continue to post things from that perspective, and I'm going to continue to guide through the Noob's Guide to Linux until I've mastered it. And I will leave this up as a leave the Noob's Guide to Linux walkthroughs as a guide to what I have experienced and what I have used, and I will do so until either I've mastered Linux or until I come across a better operating system. So that's the way I'm going to use that. But I'm not going to get mad at somebody for making $1 trillion. I see, from my perspective, Elon Musk seems like a pretty chill dude. Seems like he's trying to help a lot of people. That's my personal opinion, based on what I've seen. So I'm not going to begrudge him for having $1 trillion. That's just not me. And that's where I get to the end of this. I believe absolutely we as people, we as everyday ordinary people, quit criticizing somebody because they have a bunch of money. It's their money. They earned it, either through ill-gotten gains or through honest means. It is not your job to judge how. Okay? The Bible says very plainly, let the wheat grow with the tare, right? And they will gather the tares and burn them in the fire. And then they will gather the wheat, and they will gather the wheat and put it in the barn, right? That's how it's supposed to go. Criticizing somebody because they have a lot of money, guess what that does? That wastes your time, and it wastes my time. Look at yourself, look at the inside of yourself, and say, hey, what do I need to do? What can I do to improve my surroundings, improve my community, and what can I do to move to the next level that God has me at? Because God does not want you to stay where you're at. He wants you to move forward. He has a better plan and greater things for you. And listen to me, that plan is far greater than even you could achieve on your own. And you may not have all the pieces now. And I'm going to bring it back full circle to the very top, where it says, write the vision, make it plain, right? I didn't dwell on this, but there was a time that I was receiving visions that I did not understand, right? And I did not write them down. I should have. Had I wrote them down, had I actually done what I was supposed to do, I would be a little bit further than I am right now. I'm still trying to put the pieces together because I did not. And there were a lot of things that happened that had I understood what I was being shown, had I actually written them down and actually took time to pray over them, I would have been so much better off. And so I'm going to tell you guys, I don't have a way to actually insert a photo or anything like that right now. I don't have a camera. I don't have anything like that. I don't have a disc cam. But I do have this microphone. And I do have, you can hear here, the rifling of pages, right? Write it down. Write it down, write it down, write it down. Keep a journal. Very, very important. Keep a journal. Keep a journal. Keep a thing that you can write on. It could be a tablet that's literally just the size of your hand, that's electronic. It could be your phone. It could be your notes app. Personally, I prefer pen and paper method. And actually go through and write down every dream you have. Write down when you're studying. Write down what the Lord says to you. Write down scriptures that stick out. Right? Write down ideas that you have. Pray over them. Pray over them, process them. If they're not actually from the Lord, throw them out. If you feel like they are, say, Lord, what do you want me to do with these? What is the plan? What can I do now? What can I do here? And that is going to be the end of this particular session. I don't know why I felt led to record all of this today. I'm just going to call this, I think, little pieces. Being faithful with what you have. Something like that. And I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you learned something from it. I hope you got a message of encouragement from what I have done here. But I'm going to go ahead and I was going to share some other stories from other people, but I just felt like I needed to share more from myself than other people, because otherwise I'm not doing you the proper service. I think maybe there's somebody out there that needs to hear some of this. I don't know. I just couldn't get the thoughts off of my mind. I almost tried again last night, but I feel like I feel like I have to make some notes. I have to actually jot down some of the scriptures that I've had come to my mind. So I want you to think on these things. If you liked what I had to share today, please do me a favor. It's very encouraging when you go and share this video out with your friends. Go and make me, go and make it to where people can see it. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you next time. I apologize. I'm kind of scatterbrained at the moment because I'm also trying to get ready to go. But I'll see you in the next one. Hopefully, I'll be a little bit more organized now that I'm at the end, because I'm looking at the clock as well while I'm doing this. So I need to do a whole thing when I'm not in a hurry about being in a hurry and trying to be calm as you're being in a hurry, but that's a whole nother ball game. I don't know how many of you actually enjoy these messages or not, but I want to I want to make sure that I am faithful in what the Lord leads me to do regardless. So that's what this is. It's me being faithful in what I have, and what I have I know isn't much, but when you water a seed, it grows. And that's what I'm doing. I'm watering the seed. Have a good one, y'all. Bye.